The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, we're going to get started here in just about a minute. I saw some people logging in early, so I just wanted to say hey. But we'll get started here literally, looks like in about 60 seconds, but do want to thank, hey Tom, how you doing? Good to have people on that have been on with us before and some new people on with us. So we'll get started and exciting some new things that we're sharing today that we haven't shared before in our free flash classes. So this is exciting stuff too. And we have a bonus download that I decided this morning that I was going to share with everybody. So we'll work to get this all in a short period of time, but it's some good stuff. So excited. All right, just letting a few more people log in here. Got about 50 or 60 people coming in today, so that's a good group. All right, because a lot of you were here on time, let's go ahead and get started on time. All right, everybody, welcome to today's flash class, and this is on LinkedIn, and you know I love social selling, so this is on 5 top LinkedIn conversion techniques. And then something that's different today that we've never done before is we're going to actually show you some of the script language that we teach in our social selling class to help people actually convert. So this is a cool opportunity for everybody to actually get some of those tools, and we'll make sure that you get access to the slides so you don't have to write down every single thing and all that good stuff. So anyway, welcome today, and it's good to have everybody on with us. My name is Dean Delisle. For those of you who don't know me, I am founder and CEO of Forward Progress. We've been around for about 15 years on influencer marketing and personal branding and building brands and all that cool stuff, digital marketing. And also the creator of Social Jack. And many of you are already students of Social Jack, and that means that you've attended a class or you're part of our membership program. And we do influencer development. So those of you in business, which most of you are on the B2B side, we actually help you develop your brand, tell your story, build your network, and also take your entire brand to the next level together with the people, and we call that humanizing the brand. And we speak at conferences about that, and it's all good stuff. And so anyway, if you ever have questions on that or you want to know, you can contact me personally, either through social media, or you can hit me up at dean@socialjack.com. We also host a webcast, if you haven't been part of that, called The Influence Factory, where if you go to myinfluencefactory.com, you can register for those episodes. And we've done over 70 episodes in that format. So there's great interviews of business influencers. And if you want to be interviewed down the road, or if you have a guest that you want us to feature or a topic, please don't hesitate to contact myself or somebody on the team. So with that being said, I think many of you know that my new book, which was a labor of love called First, The Street Guide to Digital Business Influence, is now available on Amazon. So always appreciate people. I just had some calls this morning, some more reviews posted, and that always helps us as an author. So if you're interested in our step-by-step program and you can't get to one of our courses, I've actually outlined the entire process, as well as revealed a lot of things about myself that I didn't think I would do, but the publisher encouraged me to do that and tell my story in here as well. So if you just type in Dean Delisle in Amazon, it's the only book out there that is solely my book. So it's my first. So thank you. A lot of people are congratulating me in here, so I appreciate that. As our commitment for Social Jack, so think about this. It's to provide you and your organization with the best opportunity to be found, be known, and be the first as an influencer in your network and your industry, using the most relevant digital tools, because we always share our tools with you, social media, and human relationships available. So those of you that want to stay up on some of that stuff, if you go to Facebook to the Business Influencer Alliance, there's all kinds of tools that we post in there, and there's influencers in there, and it's a sandbox for you to actually practice being an influencer. So if you want to join that, that's free to you as well. You just have to go to that private group and you'll see webcasts in there, and you can even feature your own webcast. So if you want to try that out, you're welcome to play with us in that sandbox. So we also have how to engage, right, with the platform. So many of you have been with us before. And we have a download today or a handout. So if you go to the handout section, you should be able to click on that handout. It's an ROI calculator, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And you can actually calculate your success on LinkedIn on some of the things we're going to talk about. Those of you having any type of technical difficulty or audio issues, you can simply switch between computer audio and phone call. And I see a lot of people dialed in on the phone, and so you have that capability as well. Really quick, I'd like to know where everybody's checking in from today. So can you type into the questions area of the GoToWebinar taskbar and just let us know as practice, because this is where we're going to determine who's going to win Starbucks gift cards today. So we want to know exactly where you're checking in from. So we have Canada with us. Welcome, Toronto. We have New York. We have California, Minneapolis, Diamond Springs, California. Welcome, Terry. Milwaukee. Hey, Tom, how you doing? And we have Chicago. We have Indiana. We have Kentucky. We have, let's see, Mexico. Welcome. I think I would say Buenos Dias, right? So hopefully that's not too rusty from my high school years. Okay, welcome everybody on today. So social selling, most of you know this, but most of us have been in the sales sort of part of business. I've been in it for over 30 years. I say that hesitantly because I don't want to date myself too much, but definitely over 30 years. But social selling is really nothing different than relationship selling. So a lot of us come from solution selling and that sort of arena. But social selling really has to do with leveraging and building relationships with the use of LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it, social media. So it's using social media as a tool to actually build relationships. Now, if I think about where do you stand, just really quick, if we think about how often do you get inbound referrals out of LinkedIn? I'm going to put a polling question up here if you don't mind. It's anonymous. I can't see who's answering what, but if you can, just click on exactly sort of where you're at in referrals. How often do you get inbound referrals from LinkedIn? So sometimes, most people are occasionally, I've got a monthly in here, but nobody's getting weekly or daily. So let's change that, okay? So appreciate you guys voting, and you did that in under 30 seconds. You guys are really engaged today. I can see already that 2 of you are leading the pack and are going to be one of our winners. So that's good news. Okay, so let's keep going. So on this, we always think about, and many of you know that I started out in social media over about 12 years ago in the reputation management space. And so as we looked at helping people build credibility in their brand, it was all about reputation. It was always about how you appeared on the internet. Well, today is no different. As you're going in on a deal or somebody's giving you a referral and they find you on LinkedIn, and you could have the best LinkedIn profile in the world, the next thing that happens is they Google your name. So if you want to have that additional protection of your brand, your reputation and visibility, you're going really beyond, really beyond just doing a LinkedIn profile, and it's really going to that next level. So make sure you always check that, okay? So now we always identify that each and every one of you are a business influencer. So if you could for me, just so I have some context, and I'll use this in the examples, what industry do you represent? So if everybody could just type in their industry. So we have insurance, financial, travel, we have accounting, we have attorneys, client employee appreciation. I love that, Tom. We have employee advocacy. We have some marketing folks in here. we have some manufacturing, so we have some good variety in here. But whoever you are and whatever industry you're in, so Tom, you want the entire world, when they think of client and employee appreciation, to come to you first. So you have great programs and services and offerings. So when people not only search, but they ask for people in their network, you want to be the #1 person. So Joe, if they need technology, and I'm not sure what area of technology, as you know, I started in technology. So there's data, there's cyber, there's software development. So when people need software developed, and maybe it's specific to the cloud, maybe it's specific to mobile apps, could be all the above, could be platform, you're like, oh, I have to go to Joe. I have a guy, I have a person, go to Joe. So you want to be that influencer that's known in your business. And so many of you actually probably go to events on a frequent basis. How many people go to events or have been to an event, maybe in the last month or so, right? So I hate to say it, but I love to say it actually, but I've been to about 10 events in the last month. But how many people actually go to events on a regular basis and network? And Tom's like, I sponsored an event in Chicago last night, so go get it. So Joe's like, weekly, yes, and spoke yesterday. So there you go. And you're an influencer in your business and you're speaking, even more important. So we look at LinkedIn like a big event. It's nothing different than an event. So now all of a sudden, you are that representation, or as Terry says, your co-owner does the speaking, but you actually attend events in some capacity throughout your lifetime. But when you go there and there's people that want to meet others, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so LinkedIn is no different than going to a big event, but you want to stand out in that event, especially within your network and more specifically within your industry, so you can get found. And what's cool about this with social selling is that we know that the decision makers are actually going on your LinkedIn. In fact, I just had a deal last week that actually was accelerated because after I got done with the meeting, there was about 7 decision makers involved. I connected with them. I actually spoke to them in their social media, and I'll show you what I mean by that today. And then I went and made sure I was connected, wrote them a nice note, and even made an introduction for one of those folks. And they were like, wow, yeah, we need this in our organization. You're a good example of that. And so I built that connection fast, and I jumped us to the front of the line in a specific deal. So you can do the same thing, and these decision makers are really making those on a more regular basis. Now, when we think about the social reach, and the thing that's accelerated is the fact that you and I are connected, or we may be connected at a first level. Maybe we're connected through someone. I'm not quite sure how everybody arrived here, but you found out about this through somebody, or you got a connection from me, or you got a post from me, and so what happens is these things get passed down the line. So when you are connecting to someone on social media, we'll pretend, Sue, that I'm connecting to you, and all of a sudden, Sue, if you really like me and you really think that I have some value that I can bring, you're going to then connect me to maybe Mark, and I then become connected to Mark, and so on, and then Mark maybe gives me a referral to Pat, and so the network begins to grow. And this is what we've done over the last few years. Most of you have been on LinkedIn for a while, and so as we look at this, on average, with 300, 400 industry related connections. I know many of you have way more connections. I saw most of you had 500 plus. And so when we look at this, just with 300 or 400 connections, we're, within that couple of degrees, we're in the millions, right? And so, when you look at somebody on LinkedIn, you'll notice that all of a sudden you have 15 shared connections, you have a shared connection, you have 15 more shared connections. So you begin to form what we call clusters. And what we're going to do today is show you how to talk with the people within those clusters, but more specifically, how to find the ones that matter. So what we want to prevent is this sort of clicking that's been going on. So when we have these test cases in these groups, we bring people together, and now all of a sudden we watch them on LinkedIn, and we'll give them specific instructions, and then all of a sudden they start clicking everywhere, right? So they get lost. They're like, oh, what's over here? And it's almost like a an attention deficit thing where we go on the internet and next thing you know, we're clicking on things that we're supposed to do to generate appointments, and then we flip over, and next thing you know, we're in DraftKings, or we're in the Amazon buying something, or we're just in another place, and we're not producing those appointments. So let me show you two quick diagrams, then we'll get into the specifics. So in our training, we always talk about the 20 minutes a day. Those of you that know me know I've been beating this drum for 10 years, about 20 minutes a day program. So there's some specific things that we have you do, but more important than those power moves, and we'll show you some of these today, is the intent. So what I want you to do is think about when you log in today, you're going to have, let's just say if you take 5 minutes, I want you to practice today. Go into LinkedIn for 5 minutes, and your number one goal is to just come out with an appointment, a phone appointment, a Zoom call, could be GoToMeeting, could be a coffee. Does everybody promise to do that? I'm going to show you the process and a couple of things to do to go get that appointment. But give me the promise that you'll give it a 5-minute shot, and you'll take the thing that I'm going to show you, and you're going to just try it and go for one appointment. Not do anything else. Don't get distracted. Don't click on anything else. Just go in there with that intent. And so Tom's like, I promise. Thanks, Tom, and Terry's on it. So I don't know where the rest of you stand, but it would be great to know that you're going to actually take and use this today. Joe's like 100%. Cool. Okay, and so Nancy, how are you doing? Good to have you on with us today too. So now as we do this, we have the social selling ROI calculator, which is in those downloads. Now, if I bring this up, this is the live version, and I click on here now, average deal size. Somebody throw out an average deal size to me. Like, what is? I know it's probably all over the board. We have things from 5,000 to 50,000 and up. So it's like so 40,000, right? So Tom's got 40,000. There's an engagement, and so if I give you a targeted appointment, that's a referral. What is your close ratio off of that? So let's just pretend it's 20%, whatever. Let's say you have a 1 out of 5 shot of getting those people, right? So Tom's like 50. Oh, Joe's like 50%. Okay, Joe's got 50% in here. So Joe, let's be conservative though. Okay, let's say we're coming off of LinkedIn. We're just gonna be we'll give you a 25%. I'll split it with you. How's that? Now the sales cycle is what, about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, especially if it's a project. Sometimes they plot that out, right? So it might be, call it 6 weeks. So this is how you use this. So you put that in there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, so ideally if I spend 20 minutes a day and I follow just part of what Dean does, I should get an average of 2 referral based appointments out of that 20 minutes of activity, and therefore my pipeline should jump by 5 deals a week in the pipeline based on some good appointments and conversations. And I'm really targeting, that I want 10 good appointments per week, right? 10 warm appointments per week. And again, it's based on your close, right? And the conversion cycle. So, you want to have at least, and so if you can get those 10 and you have a 25% close ratio, you're adding 200K to your pipeline per week. Is that acceptable? Would that work, Joe? So, for you to get 200 grand in your pipeline, because if you look at this, that's an extra 1.6 million to your bottom line. And this is where, we want you to be hungry so that you pay attention, so that you do the things that we show you and that we're about to show you and that we cover in our classes, so that you get down to a system and a routine. And those of you that know me, I started out in systems, so I'm a very systems motivated person. Okay, so let's get into the steps and the things that you're going to do here. So we might run over by a few minutes, but hang in there. But there are some cool things at the end, so make sure, because we always give out prizes because I like prizes. I like to get prizes. Does everybody like to get? I like to win stuff. So anyway, we'll make sure that we get a couple people winning here. So the first thing to do is you see Joe Strazzeri up here. So if you were going to change nothing else on your profile, think about your ideal target and who you want. So Joe, I'm going to speak to you on the tech side because I know that side well. And let's say that all of a sudden, and Terry loves swag too. And let's say all of a sudden, you're like, I want to develop programs. We want to do at least, $50,000 minimum deal, and I want to get this, I want to get one of these deals. Well, if you're talking to either CEOs of small companies, or you're talking to COOs, or you're talking, depending on who you are, targeting, you need to make sure that your profile speaks to that. So your cover photo should really represent who you are. Your current profile pic, see, I say current, should be welcoming, and you need to look as if I'm meeting you at a meeting or a Starbucks or an event. How would you look? Don't put a tie on if you don't normally have a tie. Make sure that you have a clear headline. What do you do and how do you help people? Right? What do you do? Don't not where you work, that's going to be right underneath there. But what do you do? What is your solution that you bring to me? Make sure you have that up there. And then your summary is your story. Now, we can't get into all that today, but we help people build their story, which is probably one of the most incredible pieces, probably one of the most miraculous things that we do, and rewarding things that we do, is helping people build that story for themselves. Now, number 2, homepage scan. This is the easiest thing you can do today. So in that 5 minutes that I told you about, I want you to scan your homepage. This is where you log into LinkedIn and you literally just go through the homepage. And if you're seeing way too much stuff that doesn't apply to you, you have the wrong network. You need to start hiding things. You can go in here and click on the 3 dots and say, just hide this stuff from this person or unfollow them. Because if they're not relevant, they're not good. And so what you want to do is, like, if you're having an event, let's say you're hosting an event, you want to make sure that that event specifically to you, that event specifically has all the people that can make decisions, right? Those are the best events. If you could have, let's say you have 500 people that but you could have 50 people that can make decisions. Those are the people that you want at your event. So you want to sort of dial this in. So you can get rid of some of the riffraff. You can also dial back the sponsorship things that you see and things like that. But literally within 2 minutes, you should be able to grab somebody, and then we're going to show you the language to use here in just a minute with those people. Now, the next thing we want you to do is something called network diving. So you see my good friend Tony here. Tony will introduce me or you to anybody that we request. He's always been that way. He's like, Dean, who do you want to know? Who do you want out of my network? I just have to literally go to Tony's network. I start doing a search through here, and I can go through and literally I can pick and choose the people that I want. So I can do a LinkedIn search, and I can go in there and say, Tony, I want Tom Caprell and Patrick. So I can tell him exactly who I want, and he will do that. Now, you don't need to use LinkedIn to actually book the appointment. You just have to know Tony, or you have to know the person in your network. So on average, even the ones that have sleeper networks have a minimum of 10 to 15 people. 10 to 15 people that are willing to refer you. They like you that much, even if you don't communicate with them on a regular basis, to refer you. So today, this morning, I went in, and I'm working to get back into this Fortune 500, and I was on a golf trip, and this guy said, I know there's an initiative. And so I'm like, great. So I remembered that, and this morning, actually I texted him last night, I talked to him this morning, and he's just read my book, or half of my book, and he was like, man, this is awesome. And so we're going through that, and he's like, well, who do you want? And I was like, I want the head of commercial, I want the head of this, I want the head of that. And he's like, great, I'll make an intro. And he just sent the email, and the email responded. So I not only had an appointment with Russ, but I now have an appointment with his boss. So do you see the sequence there of how that worked, and where I used LinkedIn, and where I actually just all of a sudden shifted to that text message? Everybody give me a yes. I want to make sure that you're with me on this, because we move fast in these flash classes. So make sure you're keeping up with us. I think Joe and Terry right now. Oh, and Don's in there. Hey, Don, how you doing? I think Joe, Terry, and Don are in contention here for the winners so far. They're the most responsive. And that's how you win in social media, right? Engagement response. So there you go. So now all of a sudden we have the conversation. So there you go. Yeah, Tom, there you are. Tom from Milwaukee. I got you. Oh, Nancy's like, I'm in. There you are, Nancy. I was wondering where you were. So now all of a sudden we have this whole thing where we're in a conversation. So what does that look like? Remember I said it was a meeting or an event, right? Well, if you like, that's okay, you know, and we talk about this in way more depth. But what I want you to practice today in that 5 minutes is going into somebody's, you know, somebody that you either want to get a referral out of or somebody you want that appointment with. And I want you to have a genuine conversation about what they're posting. And so if you want, I can stay after a little bit longer than staying after, and I can show you a couple more techniques on this. But really, it's as simple as making a genuine comment, an authentic comment, not about having the appointment. Put the sales aside for a hot second and really talk about what matters to them. So if they've had a post out there, they put something out there, start that dialogue, have that conversation, and really be all in on investing in them. And the minute you do that, you're going to have a whole different feel. And then what we're going to do is once the conversation is warmed up, you know they're logged in, they're responding, then we're going to sweep in and really get into the next step. So we're going to give you like 3 extra things here that are super cool. So, and then we're going to show you something. So we're going to give you 4 conversations that I love. So the first one on the convert is, hey, how have you been? You popped up on my LinkedIn. It's genuine, it's authentic. I look at their profile. They can see I looked at your profile. Let's catch up. Now we want to do this in a targeted fashion. So I mentioned the example with Joe is that we are going to look for people that want to utilize Joe in software development. So Peter, your situation is going to be different. Nancy, everybody's is going to be different, right? So what we want to do is make sure that we're targeted in this initiative. And so we'll find people that we haven't spoken to in forever. I had someone that called me yesterday from a LinkedIn interaction. I swear to you, this freaked me out. I went home and I told my wife and I called a bunch of people. So he contacted me from a message and some interaction that I had with him 6 years ago. No lie. They were a huge account for us. They've since been purchased by a public company. And I was like, oh, they're way off our radar. He called me and apologized because he said, Dean, ever since you left, I haven't logged into my LinkedIn. And I just wanted to let you know, I miss you, man. He even called me buddy, you know, and I'm just like, how about that? If you had somebody that surfaced from 6 years ago, a seed I planted 6 years ago in his LinkedIn actually paid me back. How does that feel? Right? So that happened yesterday, and it was one of these messages. It was like, hey, how's it going? You know, and I just hit that sort of pop-up message. So that was the easy one. The next one I like is the fresh connect. You know, so I like to thank people, especially if they're ideal targets, for connecting. So this is my favorite message. I'm writing a thank you for connecting. I'd love to set up a short call to explore how we might work together. What I'll typically do too is find a specific item. So I'll find something specific, I'll pull it out, I'll have that dialogue with them, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm like, you know, I'm like, you know, booking that appointment. So I can talk, and I always give 2 examples, right, of times. I can talk either Tuesday at 9 a.m. or Wednesday at 2 p.m. And if they have a delayed response and you can't make it, at least you're in the dialogue of setting the intent to have the appointment. And I always put a phone number where I can be reached. Now, LinkedIn just started allowing you to put an email address in there, but there is no signature that you can have. So a lot of times I'll have a notepad or something on my desktop that I'll just copy and paste that signature in the bottom. But does this message make sense? You see the simplicity. It's not 3 paragraphs. It's not drawn out. It is super, super simple and personal, right? So see that personal part of this. Okay, now we have what I call sort of the continued call. So as I see the continued call, one of the most important things about the continued call is making sure that you started the conversation. So remember I talked about starting the conversation? Now you have the started conversation, right? In the very beginning, right? I told you about having that conversation. Now, I love the conversation about, it could be whatever, it could be anything, right? That you had the conversation about. I appreciated your position on, right? So you're commenting that you appreciate the position on, and then you put a specific item in there, and as promised. Now here's what I do. When we're in the news feed and we're having a conversation, so let me show you LinkedIn here real quick. I know I'm running over, but that's just the way it goes. Sorry, folks. I love to teach more. So let's just say I have Heather in here that I'm connecting with, and I make a comment, and she's doing it. She's working in here, and what I'll do in here is I'll say, you know, Heather, it's been too long. Let's jump on a call. And so I will reference this conversation. I will reference the conversation that we had on LinkedIn. I'll reference the topic and everything else, and then I go for the call. So I actually, in public, in front of everyone, it'd be like if we were standing in a circle and I'd be like, hey, Peter, we're gonna jump, let's grab coffee in 2 weeks. And you're like, great, what are you gonna do? In front of the entire crowd, you're not gonna go, no, Dean, I don't like you. You might, but you might not. So now all of a sudden you have this whole thing where you have the idea of, wow, there's an intent here. And so as promised, I want to jump on a call to continue the conversation. And I give 2 times, I give my phone number, and we have the coffee. This has like an 80% close ratio, 80%, right? 5 minutes or less. The next one is the transition. I love this one because do you ever notice, so I had a lot of you that registered with a Gmail or an AOL. Sorry, I didn't know AOL was still a thing. But I had a lot of people register with like non-work emails, and there's reasons for all of that. Maybe you're sorting and stocking things and things like that. But it's like, I love the conversation about, right? So I have the conversation, I appreciated your position on, but I transition. I'm going to email you with some time to talk or meet, you know, if I want to meet or email, depending on the location, you know, and so I'll take the email that I have from you, you know, maybe from previous, or I'll take that email from your LinkedIn profile. Let me know if this is the best address. So it's an email validation or verification. And now I'm transitioning from here to email, and they know to expect the email. So it's an extra jump because not everybody checks this. So then I want to have that intent to go from the conversation. They know I'm interested. I've already had that thing that I'm going to send this, you know, and get to them. And what's interesting about this is some people, when you do that in public, will say, hey, it's best to email me, or it's best to call me. And you'll be surprised how many people, even in that public thread, give you the instructions of how to book the meeting with them. That's the most fascinating thing. The next thing is the referral call. I love to give referrals, gave a couple out this morning. So it's great connecting here on LinkedIn, looking at your profile even further. I noticed, and then I put something relevant in there. I put something in there. I have some pretty good connections in the industry. Let's jump on a quick call, qualify them. I can talk either Tuesday or Wednesday. Do either of those work? Bam, then all of a sudden you're ready to rock and roll. So now you are actually offering them referrals, and just make sure you have those pocket referrals ready to go. So does all of this make sense? Can you guys do the 5 minutes? Guys and ladies, do the 5 minutes today. So hang in there. So I'm going to give you a couple more things, and then we're going to draw a couple winners. So you have to be present to win. So Jackson, be ready. There's a lot of people jumping in here that all of a sudden are starting to talk. So we want to make sure we get everybody in there. So this other thing that is huge is measuring your success. So what I want you to do is write down social selling index. If you just Google social selling index, it'll bring up this tool, or if you have Navigator, you can just click on your index. But the one thing I want you to pay attention to is at the very bottom. It says build relationships. Pay attention to that score. LinkedIn does a great job of making sure that it can detect that you have the intent to build relationships. This not only improves your ranking, but it improves your success rate, right? So it really improves your success rate. So make sure you absolutely get that score up. The other ones help too, but build relationships is the #1 things. So very cool. So Jackson, are you almost ready with our winners? I'm just looking here. I think he's putting them in here now. Okay, before we do that, super quick, socialjack.com. If you go there, you can either start for free as a member or you can go to the member login, right? If you go to the member login, there's a bunch of free stuff. Free stuff is good. Socialjack.com, go to member login. You do not have to log in. You just scroll down. You'll see a bunch of free stuff where you can start for free. If you want unlimited education in terms of building your influence, social selling, that is the source, socialjack.com. So the business influencer program. So let's say, Nancy, that you just want to be paid the most in your industry and you want to be found and forever, hired forever, right? And so we have a program that's for professionals or top producers or executives where within 90 days, not only are we building your story and your profile, but we're building your network, right? We're building your network and we're actually generating appointments and we're posting thought leadership articles and we publish a press release on who you are, all as part of the 90-day package. So if that's something that interests you or if you need more training, actually, I'm going to throw this up real quick. Just click on whatever you think you might need. So if you need some training and coaching for yourself or social media or the 90-day package or any of that stuff, and you want to talk to us about it, you want to talk to myself about it, I'll be glad to jump on a call and walk you through that. So I'm going to leave this up for 16 seconds. And digital advertising is in there and some website work as well. So just let us know if anything is needed. Okay, good. So it looks like half of you are interested in that program and the other half of you in the other part. Okay, and then so real quick, if you also, I want you to write down socialjacksales.com, socialjacksales.com. So I want you to write that down, socialjacksales.com. And we've never done this before. So we've never done this before is if you write this down, we're having a virtual LinkedIn sales training. It's our Sales Accelerator Fast Track. It has our 4 modules in there. It's normally $300. If you write down the code today, and it's good for today, and I think it goes to noon tomorrow or the next 10 people that use it, you're the only people that know about it. If you write down that code, you get the actual class and 90 days of coaching, the entire course, 90 days of coaching for like $49. If you write down socialjacksales.com and you write down the code today, and no one else is going to get this, but you guys that are in the webinar. So we only feature that for people that are in live events. Everybody else, the early bird is $197. So you're getting $150 off the early bird. You're the only people. Now, just in case you have technical difficulties or you have to run to a meeting, let's go ahead and launch the poll that says, Dean, make sure I get that discount. So, or if you have some questions, that screen is up right now. So if you want to lock it in, even if you don't wind up doing it, just at least secure that price because everybody else is paying full price except everybody that can hear my voice on this Thursday at 11:41. Now let's talk about our winners. So our 2 winners, and then I'm going to give you some takeaway assignments and then I'll take some questions. Yes, I can stay on extra for a couple of things too, somebody just asked. So now our 2 winners for Starbucks gift cards. Now there's rules to the Starbucks gift cards. So our 2 winners, what you have to do is you have to share this with someone, right? What you learned, you have to share this with someone that you know and you have to teach them because that really makes you an influencer and a thought leader. You have to go, oh my gosh, I learned this cool technique today and I learned how to talk to people online differently than I ever have before. And so what I want you to do is think about how powerful that is. Okay, so if I look at this, our 2 people, Tom and Terry, Tom Wandra and Terry Carazella. Did I do that right, Terry? Terry Carazella. Did I get that right? So you're the 2 winners. So what I want you to do, thanks, you'll get that via email from Jackson and he'll send you the Starbucks gift cards. But what I want everyone to promise is that today, today, no matter who the winners are in the Starbucks gift cards, you're always nice, right? It's always nice to win with getting appointments and getting referrals and really having a methodology that saves time, because time is the most precious thing that we have. So first of all, take a look at your profile. Would you do business with you? Second, be intentional, and then have meaning conversations, and then think about what I said about the transition. Have the intent within the 5 minutes to book the appointment. So I'm gonna stay extra for a minute. I want to congratulate our winners, and I want to thank everybody that joined us today. We really appreciate you, and I'll be able to take some questions. So I know we ran a little bit over. I apologize. So did everybody learn at least one new thing? Give me the one new thing you're going to take away and do differently, even if you don't have a question. I want to know you're going to plant that seed. When you go to LinkedIn today, you're going to spend that 5 minutes. You're coming out with at least one appointment. And I'd love for you to give me feedback. So send that to dean@socialjack.com. Say, I got the appointment. I got the appointment. I want to hear that from you. So yeah, so here we go. Oh, Tom said he's going to connect to Tony P. Yeah, there you go. So there you go. Yes, and great person. So Terry, Terry's like he's gonna connect with his existing connections and see who they know that I want to know. Actually, I'll show you that real quick. Let me show you how to do this. So let's just go to Tony P. We'll use that example. So let's see. So let's say you go to Tony P. Tony loves when I feature him on this. He's like, somebody just said you had me on a webinar and I didn't know about it. So if I go here and I go to his 500 connections, here's one of the most beautiful things. Now I can go to Navigator, but a lot of you don't have Navigator, but look, it automatically starts a search inside his network. So let's say that I'm going to New York, which I am, and I'm like, who does Tony know in New York? He's got 24 people, and I can do a bigger filtered thing, but I could go, hey, could you connect me to Wendy and Rob? And I can decide. I would go in here, spend a little more time. But then what I would do is I would text Tony and go, Tony, you got 5 minutes for me? He's like, yeah, call me at 3 o'clock or whatever. And so we'll jump on the phone. I'll go for these two people, and he'd go, oh, you know who I have that's better than that? And he'll even give me a better person than who I pick, because he knows enough about me to make that pick. Isn't that cool? So welcome to Network Diving 101, and I think I just described that in under like a minute. So if I can describe it in under a minute, imagine how many appointments you can book, right, in 5. Everybody agree with me? Isn't that super cool? All right, any other questions? Any other questions? Going once, going twice. If you appreciate what we did, I appreciate a shout out on the internet. So if you're logged in today, oh, and I'll answer this next question from Nancy. So I appreciate a shout out. If you don't mind, just go, oh, wow, I attended this great class from Social Jack and Dean Delisle. I appreciate showing us how to set appointments. We love getting those. It makes me smile and appreciate staying up at night writing these classes. Nancy says, what do you think about accepting LinkedIn connection requests from anyone and everyone? I disagree. I look at the person, I look at the network. I rejected 5 of them this morning. I look at the person, I look at the network, and I make those choices right away based on now in our class, we teach you rapid profiling, which really means in a snapshot, you can tell within a 60-second scan if somebody is a good connection or bad connection. So you just want to make sure, who do you need to connect to? Where are you going? Who do you want to, what's your destination or where you're trying to get to? Does that look like a good relationship? Does that look like a good connection? Then yes. So if they're in the same field of interest, they have a good network, the network makes sense, the relationship makes sense, go for it. Okay, so does that make sense? Yes, it makes sense. Nancy? That helped? Good. Okay. Even Terry answered for you, Nancy. Terry said, totally. All right, well, I think that's all the questions in the queue. Unless somebody has something else, you're welcome to follow us, go to us. Remember, go to Forward Progress. If you want to connect to us on Social Jack, go to that Facebook Business Influencer Alliance, write down myinfluencefactory.com. Jackson's going to send out reminders about all these links. places to go and how to sign up for that class. And I'll have probably Nancy from our team, even if you miss the window, you're all guaranteed that price for the class. We want to make sure you get in at that low discount. So even if you don't get a chance to go to socialjacksales.com and use the code today to get that discount, we'll make sure you get in on time. But that is just for you or the first 10 people that jump in there. So we'll make sure you get in. And look at Glenn came in. I didn't even see you sneak in there, Glenn. Always good to see you in there. All right, everybody, that's all we have for today. Thank you. We appreciate you. We've been recording this whole thing. We'll put it out there for you so that you can share it with all your colleagues. And with that being said, we will see you online generating appointments within 5 minutes. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you online and in class. Take care.